Hey guys, so another day, another Jimmy Dore video about Ukraine. I'm not sure how long I can keep this up, but let's see, I guess. Today I have Vladan with me, who's making coffee, but who cares about that? I'm gonna start the video. And let's see what Jimmy has to say today.
So we've told you that the NATO is provoking Russia, provoked this conflict in Ukraine. It's not anything like you've been told on the corporate news media. Go look at our video for what they're not telling you about the Ukraine war, and you'll see what they're not telling you.
So go look at the video and you'll see about what they're not telling you, and you'll see what they're not telling you. Okay, guys?
But what we've been telling people is that they're a nuclear power, and we shouldn't be doing this. This is unbelievably reckless. And if Trump was doing this, people would be going crazy, as they
So that guy has a gun, so he can attack other people and do basically whatever he wants to do because he has a gun. Okay, guys?
should. But they're not, because it's Joe Biden and the Democrats and NATO. And now even the Wall Street Journal is urging nuclear war. You think I'm kidding? Look at this headline.
Yeah, Wall Street Journal is urging nuclear war. They're saying, come on, bring it on. We want the nuclear war. Okay, guys?
The U.S. should show it can win a nuclear war. That's in the Wall Street Journal. That's still up. That was from April 27th.
Okay, so this is an older article that Jimmy just found somewhere. Okay.
Or April 29th. Let me look.
27th.
April 27th.
Who knows? Who
By
can know?
Seth Cropsey. He gets to write an opinion piece over at the Wall Street Journal. I don't know who the hell that guy is, but apparently.
Yeah, I found him in the sheets.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I looked him up.
Okay. I'm streaming for an hour per day and I'm more professional than these guys, but that's okay.
Hey, oh, is it in here?
Mhm.
Okay. Boy, I sure can't wait to see what winning a nuclear exchange looks like. Then we can gaze over our blasted hellscape of cannibal mutants. We can say, sure, it looks bad, but you should see the other guy.
Interesting fact, it's not going to be that bad actually, but let's go on.
This is an opinion piece by Sean Cropsey. And who is Sean Cropsey? Well,
You didn't know half a minute ago, but now he's going to, play like he did.
he's an American neoconservative political figure and lobbyist. So that's how you know his opinions are valid and will lead to success at home and abroad. Here's what he says. The NATO conflict is also a war against, but the conflict is also a war against NATO. So he's just admitting this is a proxy war. He's just admitting it.
I think this is a little bit of a stupid take that this journalist had, or is he a journalist? I don't know, he's a pundit or whatever, but it's a stupid take. The conflict, given Ukraine's position as an applicant, NATO's military support for Ukraine, NATO's willingness to embargo Russian products and cut off Russian energy, the conflict is also a war against NATO. That's something Putin would say, but I don't think it actually is. Ukraine is being supported by NATO. That's a different thing from actually waging war against NATO, right?
I like how, by the way, when we were watching Zelensky talk about, like, they weren't going to let Ukraine join NATO. They just want Russia to think they will.
Yes.
So this isn't even to let them be in NATO.
They're right.
Like, could you care less about them?
I think these guys just recently realized this. I think they didn't realize this before. So probably it's news to them that NATO didn't let Ukraine join. And it doesn't, I think all of the implications that it kind of ruins their whole narrative of NATO provoking Russia by forcing Ukraine to join NATO and stuff. I think it's not working anymore, so they're kind of still processing this news. This is why I say that these people are they usually don't do a lot of research. They kind of, it's actually strange. They do a lot of research, but they kind of dig in the direction of confirming what they already know, or how they believe the facts should be. They don't really allow the facts to breathe and show them the actual truth.
The conflict is also a war against NATO, given Ukraine's position as an applicant, NATO's military support for Ukraine, and NATO's willingness to embargo Russia products and cut off Russian energy. If Russia...
Yeah, so I think that's not a great argument for saying that NATO is fighting against Russia. I mean, to some extent it is, but it really isn't. There's a huge line that you need to cross to go to that territory.
Russia's military situation appears dire. Mr. Putin has a dual incentive to use nuclear weapons. This is consistent with public stated Russian military doctrine.
No, this is completely false. It's not. This person doesn't understand how this works. It's not about hey, the situation is dire, so let's use nuclear weapons. It's about, hey, we're being overrun. Let's use the tactical nukes to slow them down, irradiate the terrain for a day or two, which will give us time to run away, right? It's practical is what I'm saying, right? Jimmy's, first of all, he's not specifying if it's strategic or tactical. So the Russian doctrine talks about tactical nukes, and it kind of escalates to tactical nukes. So it's kind of in the realm of escalation. So it's fine. They're okay to be used, but the strategic nuclear weapons are not really on that level. They're really handled separately. So it's kind of a different thing. And then let's go forward.
A nuclear attack would present Ukraine with the same choice Japan faced in 1945. Surrender or be annihilated. Ukraine may not break.
Okay, so we know Jimmy Dore doesn't really understand nuclear weapons. This guy doesn't understand nuclear weapons either. I think they're just conflating the tactical and strategic nuclear weapons here. I think they don't understand the difference. And especially, the comparison with Japan. Okay, Vladan.
I'm back.
How's your sex life?
Greetings from Warsaw.
My God, I never thought of that. What if Russia is capable of the same shit that we are capable of? Wow. I don't think Japan is a great analogy, seeing as how no one knew what a nuke was until we dropped it on them. So that's
the other difference is
I don't understand this. Do you understand this, Vladan? What did he want to say? But nobody understood what the nuke is until we dropped it. Okay. So okay, let this be a mystery of Jimmy Dore's mind. I don't understand what he wanted to say. Maybe he wanted to say that now we know what's going to happen, so it's worse, or it's not actually worse. Hiroshima was really affected because it was basically made out of paper and light wood, so it was just blown away. A modern city with concrete buildings and asphalt and all of that stuff would be much less affected. It wouldn't be blown away, as Hiroshima was. And if people take any cover at all, because in Hiroshima there wasn't any cover at all, right? People weren't expecting this technology to even exist. I think far fewer people would die from the same level of nuclear attack, and it's not even the same level. Tactical nukes are on the level of thermobaric weapons and vacuum bombs, so they're much lower.
Yeah, I think crediting Jimmy with understanding this difference is a bit much on your end.
But this guy from the Wall Street Journal who's writing an article about nukes could have done some research, right? I mean, I'm sure he got paid a lot to write that, so he might as well, buy some expensive wine and, read some Wikipedia at least or something, Put some expensive cheese.
I guess it was after this story was written, but just last week, Russia unveiled their new Sarmat nuclear capable missiles, which can't be stopped by any sort of Patriot battery or anti-missile defense system.
Sure, yeah. It's a Wunderwaffe, you could also almost say. Of course it can. Let me tell you a secret, guys, okay? Almost none of the missiles can be stopped. It's very non-effective. The anti-air would be able to stop maybe, I don't know, I think the projections are maybe 20 to 30% in the best case scenario. So the fact that Sarmat is a little bit dodgier for the anti-air doesn't really add a lot of value to it, because you guys still have to mass produce it. I don't think they are still. So yeah, if they would replace all of their arsenal with this, it would shift the balance a little bit. But let's not forget that the US has the true preemptive strike capability, not Russia. So this is it's just Russia's weapon sales pitch that these guys are just swallowing wholesale. It's the same thing if you actually do research about their other Wunderwaffe, like Kinjal and the stupid nuclear torpedo, I think Poseidon or whatever. It's just silly. It's just pure propaganda. It's nothing original, nothing new. The US, even though the US does possess less of the actual missiles, it's still way more effective in terms of the first strike.
Regardless of whether they have a nuke on it or not. So we actually have less capable nukes than Russia. Not
true. The less capable, the nukes themselves are not so important. What's important is the platforms, and the U.S. has far more flexible platforms in the nuclear submarines.
That anyone wins in a nuclear war, anyways.
I mean, you can win in a nuclear war. It's possible. You will have losses, but you can definitely win. You can hit the other guy first, and you can neutralize their nuclear capabilities, and that gives you the momentum to attack with conventional weapons, especially if Russia would be tied with Ukraine, right? Would bog down in Ukraine, that would be a big factor. So it's not as absurdist as it sounds that nobody wins in a nuclear war. No, it's a legitimate thing to strike first and cause damage. What would happen afterwards would be a good question. Would China step in? Quite probably it would. India, Pakistan, it would be a mess, but yeah.
The haunting images from Bucha
It's Bucha, by the way.
And elsewhere demonstrate Russia's true intentions. Oh, the haunting images show Russians' true intentions. I knew it. Russian victory would lead to mass.
Was this a joke, Vladan? Was this a joke? Like, I knew it? What is that supposed to be funny? I'm trying really hard to understand. Maybe today my brain is not attuned to Jimmy Dore vibes, but did he just make a joke about people being killed in war crimes that I didn't even understand? You can make jokes, I guess, but Okay.
Mass killings, deportation, rape, and other atrocities. Wow, I knew it. A Russian victory is going to lead to rape. I bet they already have Saddam Hussein-style rape rooms all set up with all kinds of victory decorations and balloons. Sick fucks, aren't they?
What? Oh, he's referring to the rape rooms in Iraq. How's that? How's that related to Ukraine and Russia?
Um,
Is that like whataboutism, or because it's too stupid even to
Yeah,
be that?
it is whataboutism basically, but the thing that he's ignoring here is that unlike the prelude of Iraq War being sold to the American public and all kinds of weird and crazy stories coming out, these are actual news stories, right? So this has already happened. It's not like something that's being marketed as a as a possibility. It's a reality in Ukraine, very much so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these people don't believe it happened. I saw some posts about those people being actors. You know the photo from the I think the most famous photo where you have people lying on the ground on their bellies and on the street with hands tied behind their backs. Trigger warning, I guess. So there are people who claim those were actors, and there's a video of a car driving across that street, and you can see those same people because they were there for a while, right? And there's like a light refracting on the windshield, and you can totally see that it's light refracting on the windshield on a full resolution video. But somebody posted that video in a lower resolution, and it looks like somebody moved their hand, and so that's now evidence of actors being on the street playing corpses, I guess.
I'm halfway through my cup and I need more coffee already.
Yeah, we're in deep. I'm pretty sure that's what Jimmy is implying here. I'm pretty sure he saw those things and he thinks it's fake. It's a false flag operation like Sandy Hook, or I mean, Jesus.
Remember, that's exactly what we said about Saddam Hussein, that he had rape rooms. And what did we do? We went and we remodeled his rape rooms. we put in a hi-fi and some
This is super funny, by the way.
track lighting. The Ukrainian choice won't be between death and survival, but rather armed resistance and unarmed extermination. I like how they say a Russian victory would lead to mass killings, deportation, rape, and other atrocity. Other atrocities? What would other atrocities? Like, you mean a nuclear war? You mean a nuclear war that you're calling for? Nuclear use would require NATO to respond, but a nuclear response could trigger retaliation. This guy is going to tell you next: 2 + 2 = 4. And here's how you buckle your seatbelt. You take this end and you put it into that end. But a nuclear response could trigger retaliation, dragging Russia and NATO up the escalation ladder to a wider nuclear confrontation. So he's saying that if Russia used a nuke on Ukraine and we used a nuke on Russia, that could escalate the use of nukes.
I honestly can't imagine NATO responding with a nuke to a Russian tactical nuke in Ukraine. Can you? I don't think that would ever happen. I mean, with Biden being terrified of this whole, nuclear war thing, and the tactical nuke is a perfect, I think, perfect escalation for Biden, because it's playing on all of his fears that he clearly has of the Soviet Union and the Cold War and stuff. But it's not too. It's not gonna blow, the fallout to whatever Belarus, or it's gonna stay in Ukraine, right? It's gonna be relatively clean. I don't think NATO would use nukes in response. Do you think? I don't think so.
I don't know on what basis. On what basis would that be triggered by NATO? That kind of action.
Yeah, like to defend
So no, it
Ukraine.
doesn't. It doesn't sound
So they nuke
realistic.
Ukraine even more. Or to strike Ukraine, to strike Russian territory? Is that the idea? Tactical nukes, like a terror weapon? That's not how you use tactical nukes. You don't use tactical nukes for like bombing cities and then expecting the country to surrender. This is not the same. These guys really think it's the same as Hiroshima, right? They still think that we're in the World War II and that thing would work. First of all, Ukraine would go berserk after after Russia would bomb them with tactical nukes. Ukraine would go crazy into a hyperdrive of super motivated fighting. So it wouldn't do the psychological thing that it's supposed to do. It's not like everybody would just surrender. And then NATO wouldn't nuke Russia. I'm 90% sure that wouldn't be the response. The response would probably be even more weapons, maybe some limited air support, maybe. I could see that happening. Because that's relatively low risk, right? They wouldn't risk too much, but they would maybe strike units on the ground, things like that, right? I think that would be
It's
proportional.
weird because most of these articles that discuss the option of nuclear use don't seem to differentiate between tactical and strategic nuclear weapon use. So it's kind of all a little bit silly. But yeah, I mean, here this article seems largely hyperbolic, and Jimmy might have good grounds to criticize it. It's just the way that he's going about it seems a bit.
He's just too dumb to do it properly. Yeah. he's he's
Well, I
doing
wasn't
it
gonna
from
go
a
there, but
completely different, completely wrong angle. It's because he doesn't understand he doesn't understand it himself. He thinks people think it's just black and white. Yeah. I mean, using
I
strategic
don't know.
nukes
You've
on
been
Ukraine is crazy. That would just blow the fallout. That would be much more dirty, right? It would blow fallout to Belarus, probably Russia as well. So Belgorod would get a healthy dose of radiation. It would be crazy. And who would do that? Why would he want to do that? Why would he want to
yeah.
radiate his own people? He can't control the winds. He can't predict where which direction is going to blow. So there would definitely be fallout, and there would definitely be people dying of cancer generations afterwards. So, and then if it blows the fallout to NATO, which is almost that risk is almost non-existent with tactical nukes, but with strategic nukes, it's possible. And then if it blows to Poland, then maybe Poland, gets
Yeah,
pissed
but
off and
the thing is, I'm not even sure how much fallout would be produced with a modern nuke, because to maximize the blast radius, I think they're virtually all set to be deployed at a fairly high altitude
yeah,
from the
of
ground.
course.
Like what produces the most fallout is actually the dirt
Hmm.
particles being sucked up,
Yeah, the dust, sure.
radiated.
Hmm.
So if it's a ground level explosion, that would produce way more radioactive fallout than an airburst. And
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't
but
trust Russian
you
nukes
want to
to function
maximize the
perfectly.
protection of the sorry.
I wouldn't trust the Russian nukes to function perfectly based on their other, weapon
Yeah,
systems.
consideration. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to contrast that to, for example, for something like Chernobyl
Oh no, they are. That's totally
disaster.
completely different. Yeah.
Yeah, that was basically a dumpster fire, just
Yeah,
blowing out
that was
radioactive
incredibly dirty.
material.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I would say that probably nuclear strike, even with the largest weapon, would produce nowhere near the amount of pollution that Chernobyl did.
Yeah, I think that's right.
This guy is good.
As for opinions on
This
Jimmy
guy.
Dore, I'm gonna defer to you, as you've been enjoying a lot of him lately. I think I quit after the whole COVID.
Yeah, I mean, you have to admire the guy. He was playing the line. He wasn't banned. I mean, YouTube didn't ban him, and he was basically
Yeah.
just, he's basically anti-vax, but he keeps repeating, "No, I'm not anti-vax," and that's kind of, it's
Well,
like,
that's one way to
and that seems to
avoid
work
ban.
with YouTube. Yeah, that seems to work. I mean, he's still online. You may have different opinions, of course, about this, but I would definitely keep him online. I wouldn't ban him for these opinions, but I mean they have banned other people for less, and they seem to tolerate him just because he's saying, "Yeah, no, I'm all for vaccines." And by the way, here's this strange thing about vaccines. So yeah, it's
Not
interesting.
killing people and so on and so on. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Guy, nothing gets past this guy. Perhaps a conventional response to a Russian nuclear attack would be sufficient. What if the U.S. and its allies destroyed Russian military units deployed in the Black Sea, Syria, and Libya,
Okay, well,
cut all oil
we resume.
pipelines to Russia?
Yeah, so that's a good idea. I think that's reasonable. I think those would be their fleet, their Black Sea fleet, and pretty much all of the others are just sitting ducks. They're completely dysfunctional. They're no match for, I think, any navy really, not just the U.S. Navy, but any modern navy. They're really behind in technology, just because the navy is so expensive. So they really suck. We saw that with Moscow, but we also saw that in many other cases. So yeah, those would be the prime targets. Sure, that could be a response, I guess.
And use their economic clout to threaten China and other states conducting business with Russia with an embargo. What if? Each of these steps is necessary. But Russia's goal is going nuclear is to knock NATO out of the water. The Kremlin believes its resolve outstrips that of the USA. A conventional American response would confirm this and create incentives for additional Russian nuclear use.
So this is way off.
Wait. There's something wrong with our sync. I'm not syncing the video anymore.
Okay, I'm at 640. So
just a moment. Yeah, I'm getting invalid session.
Okay. Well, I guess you can just watch with 640. Sorry,
Okay.
640. Yeah, it just timed out. So let me send it to you again. I think you can join. There you go. That should work.
I thought this wasn't about.
So I was gonna say this analysis is dumb. It's not. That's not how it works. It says Russia's goal in going nuclear is to knock NATO out of the war. How would you knock NATO out of the war? But like by scaring them, or it's silly. If anything, I think the biggest value in nukes is being able to talk about them all the time, which Putin does all the time.
Yeah.
I was very surprised that he didn't mention them on the victory parade speech. he he loves talking about the nukes and how he has the nukes and he's able to use the nukes, and nobody has so many nukes, and it's so cool that he has all the nukes.
NATO. It was because Putin wants to restore the Soviet Union, and he's just blaming it on NATO. So what this guy is saying is that if he uses a nuke and we don't respond with a nuke, that's going to mean more nukes from Russia. So the way to stop him from nuking is for us to start nuking. That's what he's saying. So if we come back with a conventional response, he's going to start doing more nukes. That's what this maniac is writing in the Wall Street Journal.
I mean, that is pretty dumb, to be honest. But again, it's because of the lack of differentiation between tactical and strategic nukes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so sure. Like, basically, the use of nuclear weapons has been taboo since World War II. So they haven't been used in anger anywhere, pretty much. Were Russia to break that, whether by, deploying tactical nukes or, let's say, a strategic nuke against the population center, it would warrant some sort of a response. The question is what kind of a response, right? Because once you break the taboo, like, what's stopping Russia from deploying them tactically all over the battlefield, right?
Well, it's not effective to the way tactical nukes work. It's only effective when you're actually losing, right? When you're retreating.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna win them the war or anything, but what the guy is speculating on is basically Russia being desperate at some point.
Yeah. I was
and
expecting a tactical nuke to maybe be used on Azovstal. That would be a perfect location. It's isolated. It's only the quote unquote bad guys there, right? I think most of the civilians were evacuated. Although some, I think, are left.
But they're
still.
under. Yeah, they have lots of really heavy cover though. So
yeah, it wouldn't work. It would. They already dropped vacuum bombs, and they didn't really work for them. So. And yeah, they're hesitating too. You're right, because people are being irrational about nuclear weapons in general. They don't understand how, they don't understand nuclear weapons, which may be for good because, the politicians are terrified and they don't want to use them. And once it would be used, it would be free for all.
NATO and US refused to set some kind of a quote unquote red line because they actually didn't want to, I guess, invite Russia to cross it. But the fact of the matter is that any kind of use of nuclear weapons in anger is pretty much a global red line, right? And if that were to happen, like nobody knows what's next. Like all bets are off, basically.
Yeah, it's going to be totally random. I agree.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows? Yeah. To be clear, Russian doctrine does include nukes, so they're not treated in a very special way, and they are in the NATO countries. So that's a big difference. So that tells me that probably in an event of a tactical nuke use, Russia would be the first one, and NATO likely wouldn't respond by using tactical nukes because that would be counterproductive. First of all, just tactically, it wouldn't give them anything. And yeah, what this guy is saying about the Black Sea Fleet and stuff, those targets are, those would be heavy losses that are super easy to achieve, I think, for modern Navy or modern Air Force or even a single carrier group. So.
Yeah.
Well, he starts trying to qualify it after that.
If Russia thinks that we're less crazy than they are, they're going to get more crazy. So we have to think batshit insane like I'm doing in this editorial.
I think there's something to be said for being crazy because when people are unpredictable, I think Putin hates people who are unpredictable, like Trump. He thought it would play into his hand to have Trump in power in the United States, but I think Trump was too crazy even for Putin. So I think that's probably why he didn't try to pull this off during Trump. It's not that he was scared of what well, maybe he was scared of what Trump would do because Trump was batshit crazy. Trump could say, hey, Putin is really powerful. He's my best friend. And then he would, nuke him or shoot Tomahawk missiles or something like that. So that would be totally in character for him. So I think he was waiting for.
Yeah, depending on who's the last person he spoke with.
Yeah, totally random. It's something you can't control. Yeah, if the last person in the room told him, yeah, you should definitely nuke them, he would be, okay, sure, yeah, that makes sense to me, sure, yeah, and if Ivanka would go in and show him the starving children or whatever that she did in Syria, I'm sorry, the gas attacks in Syria. She showed him a video on her phone. She just walked in and showed him a video, and he was against the whole intervention. And Ivanka went in and showed him the video, and then he was for the attacks. He was for the missile strike. So it takes as little as that. And yeah, if you're Putin, you're trying to kind of control people, make them predictable. Biden is perfect for that because Biden is just an old school cold warrior, right? And Trump is just crazy. So people who say that Putin was scared of Trump may have, it's not what they mean, right? But at the end of the day, there is something for being batshit crazy.
Yeah.
The problem is it hits your side as well, so it that's the problem.
No, they're right that probably feared Trump, but for different reasons. And to quote James Brown, I don't know karate, but I know crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't to say that the U.S. should use nuclear weapons. Oh, fuck, it is.
Wow.
I'm not saying we should use nukes. I'm just saying we shouldn't not use them, which is not the same thing.
Well, I don't think this guy is saying that the United States should use nukes. I think that's correct.
Again, a nuclear response would make global nuclear war more likely. No, again, this guy with his insights. We got.
What was that?
We went out of sync again. I don't know. Something's wrong with our little tool.
Okay. Yeah, it drops the session. I'm at 7:59 and play.
Got to go to the Wall Street Journal op-ed page to get this. But America and its allies can take steps against Russia's nuclear arsenal that undermine the Russian position at higher escalation. Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
The U.S. Navy's surface ships, for example, they could be re-equipped with nuclear weapons, as they were during the Cold War. Most critically, if Russia used a nuclear weapon, the U.S. could use its naval power to hunt down and destroy a Russian nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine. Holy shit. The backbone of the Russian second strike capability. They're not... You want to go blow up a nuclear-armed submarine. You want to blow up their nuclear bomb on their nuclear submarine.
I mean, the bomb wouldn't explode, but yeah. I mean, sure, yeah, this sounds like a reasonable idea. And I mean, it's tricky. The problem with preemptive strikes, the problem with first strikes is that you have to position the weapons for the strike to happen, which is why the US has the first strike capability and Russia doesn't, because if Russia would telegraph its first, quote unquote, first strike, by positioning the nuclear weapons, because they don't have enough ready to go as the US has. And the US could, so the trick is to not show that you're going to strike. That's the whole trick about the first strike, right? That you launch and the enemy is not ready to launch before it hits them. And the US can do this at pretty much any time. Russia can't. So by arming the ships, that would defeat the purpose. So again, I think this person doesn't really understand how this works overall. Showing that you have armed the ships could actually provoke Russia into striking, right? Because that would show intent. And at the point of escalation, I think it's totally possible that Putin would say, okay, fuck it, let's go for it. So I don't think that would be a smart move. Hitting their submarine, sure, yeah, that's totally legit. You can do that, and that's not really a big deal. It's just sinking a boat.
Well, Dore disagrees.
Yeah, I think both of these people again don't really understand what they're talking about.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
that
It's like watching two idiots calling each other dumb.
I mean, that
It's
Wall
the
Street guy
same
definitely knows
thing.
something, but he didn't do enough research to understand how this works. It sounds like he talked to somebody, like somebody from the military. They told him some things. So, for example, this sounds like something that somebody would say. But if you think about it in terms of the global,
Street Journal, like, who is even an author?
who's what?
Who authored it? Do you know?
This guy with a weird name. I'll rewind when we're done, and we can go back.
Okay.
that quote from I think it's Irving Kristol, Bill Kristol's dad, about a neocon is just a liberal who's been mugged by reality, but not nuked ever.
The ability to win is the key. He's talking about nuclear war.
That was a fake smile.
Can we ride the bomb down and wave a cowboy?
He does have an issue with charisma a little bit. I mean, all the friends I have, when I tell them, yeah, I'm watching Jimmy Dore, most of my friends don't know who that is. When I show them his videos, everybody seems to have the same reaction of, oh my God, I can't watch this guy. Which is the same reaction I kind of have, but I still watch him for some reason. He does have the whole scandal between him and Anna from the Young Turks. You know about that, Vladan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sexual harassment at work, right?
Yeah, so you can kind of imagine him doing things like that, right? He has a face of somebody who would totally do that. I understand this is totally not how this is supposed to work, but when you look at Jimmy Dore, when you look at these classes, the fake smile, all the stuff, you can totally imagine him looking up the Anna's skirt or whatever it was. I don't remember what the actual thing that happened was. He saw her panties or something. I don't know, but you can totally imagine him doing that.
He cracked a joke about how she dressed at work, and it was especially bad because she also, I think, had a group of students or something with her.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, and then everybody started defending him because Me Too is going too far.
Right.
Okay. What I'm saying is I can totally imagine that happening, and probably worse. And I saw some, did you see his text? I think also to Anna. No, it was, what's the other person's name from the Young Turks? I forgot. I think Francesca something. I forgot.
Francesca Fiorentini.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Francesca something. I think she screenshotted some of his texts, and he's batshit crazy. I mean, it's texts. We have some.
I need to look that up.
Yeah, you want to. Yeah, you probably totally want to take a look because it's really, that person who just keeps spamming you and gets more and more angry as the more text they send, the more angry they become.
Spiraling? Yeah, I can see that. But as a side note, Francesca is awesome. Very funny. Very cute.
Yeah, well, many of
Francesca.
I mean, Young Turks is really hard for me because some people are smart and have relatively good takes. Other people are just really, really dumb. And it's all kind of packaged together.
Isn't it? Isn't it like this pretty much with everything?
Maybe. I mean, you and I are smart, right? We don't have anybody dumb here, so except Jimmy Dore.
Yeah, but maybe if we hit a particular topic, we could sound like idiots. Anyways,
no. There are people who are reliably dumb on pretty much every topic at the Young Turks. There are people with their, they have people who are, I'm the woke person. I'm the system is racist person. And then anything that that has nothing to do with systemic racism, nothing to do with anything at all, nothing to do with race at all, right? They have to comment from that angle because they are that person, right?
So yeah, they're like the point person, and they have to frame everything through whatever lens that's there.
Yeah, it's like their job, or class, or something like that. Doesn't have to be race. This is the result of the class struggle, or whatever. Like some really, really stupid thing. Sure, this is the result of the struggle between the classes, and it's not all that, right? It's not always that. Some things have relatively straightforward explanations. Those things exist, but they're not everywhere. So it's the same thing with the Minority Report with Sam Cedar. He's generally pretty smart and he has relatively good takes on most things, but some of the takes on the show are completely trashy.
Dog shit.
Yeah, I mean, when you compare it to shows like, I don't know, like if you go to Ben Shapiro, he's just reliably hacky, and he's always going to be super predictable. Sam Cedar is at least not, he's at least has a consistent kind of worldview where you don't really have this on many other shows. Jimmy doesn't have, I think, any principles whatsoever. Jimmy's like a box full of talking points. And, it just kind of drips through. It's like a coffee machine that, it slowly drips through and becomes colored with the stuff that he has in his mind. I wouldn't even call that takes. It's just repeating the same. It's just repeating the same things over and over again. And he even has this pitch. You noticed that at the beginning, or I'm sorry, you were making coffee. You missed the beginning of the show. He has this kind of like pitch, like he's doing a short or a TikTok or something, where he does this thing where he's saying, well, because NATO provoked this war because blah, blah, blah. And he keeps saying that in the beginning of every video. I don't know if it's because he wants to like grab attention or something. I don't think that grabs attention. Maybe it does. But it's weird. It's like this, it's like watching North Korean TV, right? The glorious leader today went out and invented burritos or whatever he did recently.
Here is the truth.
Anyway, let's watch this to the end. I'm at 9:13. And go.
Wait.
The ability to win is the key by arming surface ships with tactical nuclear weapons. I like how they put tactical in front of it. Oh, that's different. Tactical means usable? No.
It means tactical. Maybe he doesn't understand what the word
Yes.
means.
Yes, exactly. This is important, actually, an important distinction to make, obviously.
It actually adds to the information. Yes, it's not just. I think I think he thinks that it's like when you say I bought a tactical vest or I bought a tactical, tactical sights for my rifle or something. He thinks it's that. He thinks it just
I don't
means
know.
like
He might.
military or something.
Maybe you're not giving him enough credit. Maybe he is referring to, just this action of what I talked about earlier, breaking the nuclear taboo by actually planning to deploy tactical nukes or changing that would be a change in the US doctrine, right? The US gave up tactical nuclear weapons, I think, back when stuff like Davy Crockett was phased out.
Yeah, they were a big deal with the strategy against like super quick Russian expansion in Germany.
So yeah, it was about defending Germany, right? But
so it wouldn't really make sense to use them on the ships, or it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was. But anyway, the point is that tactical nuclear use stopped being part of any kind of Western doctrine a long time ago.
Yeah, sure.
And this would be a reintroduction of that, right? So maybe, again, trying to give him some credit, maybe this is what he's referring to, right?
I guess. Your guess is as good as mine. 9:31 and go.
As well as attacking a nuclear missile sub and thus reducing Russian second strike ability, the U.S. undermines Russia's ability to fight a nuclear war. Hey, that's a great idea, Sean. Cropsy. That's a great idea. What if we also sneak a bunch of ICBMs onto Russia's borders and say they're grain silos? I bet that could create a kind of crisis, if you will. Well, that'll make us all safer.
Why would you have ICBMs on the border? ICBMs means intercontinental, so it means they can fly between continents. So why would you have them on the border? Okay, anyway.
He's saying we could keep it down to just taking one nuke, and
that's what he's saying. Just a couple of nukes here and there.
You're gonna get some nukes on you.
You're gonna get a little fallout. The Soviets were deeply afraid of preemptive strike by NATO. That fear has morphed under Mr. Putin's regime into a fixation on the color revolutions, pro-democracy uprisings in former Soviet republics. Jeopardizing Russian second strike capability would tangibly raise the military stakes. Mr. Putin could no longer unleash his nuclear arsenal with impunity. Instead, he would need to reckon with the possibility that NATO could decapitate the Kremlin. Yes, suffering casualties in the process, but still decapitated. Yes, we'd have a nuclear war.
Let's give Putin nothing to lose.
Yes.
Make him see there's only one way out.
So what this guy's saying is the nuclear war should never be fought, but the threat of it should always hang over our heads. Forever. Amen. A nuclear war should never be fought, but the Kremlin seems willing to fight one, at least a limited one. It sounds like you are too.
Yeah, not as much as you, buddy. Holy crap.
Right? No kidding. If the U.S. demonstrates it's unwilling to do so, the chance that the Kremlin will use nuclear weapons becomes dangerously real. So he's saying we have to be, it's the exact opposite of what we should be looking for a peace settlement. And what this guy's doing is, let's look for a way to ratchet things up and make sure Putin feels threatened and has nothing to lose. That's exactly what Kurt just said.
It sounds counterintuitive, but...
Sounds yeah. Wow. Jackson, did you see this before? Have you covered this on your show?
I didn't. I'm just shocked. These are the types of people who are reminding Joe Biden, like staffing the White House and reminding Joe Biden that he's president. These are those sorts of people. And then to just exhibit the political realignment in this country. Donald Trump is out there calling for a peace proposal between Ukraine and Russia. You know, it's
this guy's been there since with George W. Bush and like since before that. Like, you know, people talk about a deep state of these people that are still around for some reason. Like,
you mean the guy who wrote that? You mean the guy who wrote this? He's been.
Yeah, this. Now that I think about this, I understand where this guy is. What this guy is trying to say. He's trying to say. I think I now understand it. Maybe I didn't understand before. What he's trying to say is position these nukes in advance, show him that they're positioned, and then Russia wouldn't dare to use the tactical nukes because then we would destroy the second strike capability. The thing is, I think the US already has that. So I don't think this would achieve anything, but I think most of the second strike capability would be destroyed in the first strike. And I think the first strike would just go through and not really, Russia wouldn't be able to do a lot against it. And they wouldn't have time to launch for sure. So I think the nuclear subs are a good enough deterrent. I don't think they would need to do what this guy is saying. But I now understand what he's trying to say at least. Maybe I was confused a little bit before.
Yeah, and he was the head of the.
Yeah, go ahead.
What time are you at?
I'm at 12:36. And go.
Like our propaganda broadcasting to other countries. I can't remember what they're called, something BIH or something like that.
I'm sure he's great friends. He's great friends with Nina Jankowicz, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They're all friends. She's at the Woodrow Wilson Center, which I like. That's named after the president who brought the Klan back in a big way. He's going to monitor the racisms.
So there you go. Wall Street Journal. Don't worry about nuclear war. We can win it. Holy shit. We're doing live stand-up show.
Okay, well, that was that. This was a pretty boring video. He's usually more entertaining. This was worse than his usual.
I'm kind of wondering how badly he's butchered the original article. Because I've actually looked it up. The guy who wrote it is apparently a former Undersecretary of the Navy.
Okay,
so I would assume he's a bit more competent than how he's been presented. So
can you share the link? I wanna open it.
Yeah, maybe not now. We're about to finish the hour, but what I was getting at is that from what I recall, last time I looked into Jimmy, he had a nasty habit of cutting out parts, taking them out of context deliberately. I think.
Yeah, he did this with the recent Pope article. Yeah, I even showed it real time.
I think somebody made like a long video analyzing this, specifically in the anti-vax narrative that Jimmy was doing.
Yeah, he's kind of doing
deconstructing what he does. So it's probably the same here.
Oh, so it's an older article. Seth Cropsey. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's yeah, okay. You said he was the defense. He was Deputy Undersecretary of the Navy. Okay. Heritage Foundation.
Like I was saying, Russia keeps blowing the nuclear horn. It might be in preparation or for their own internal consumption of their own people. But it might be like trying to set the stage for deploying tacticals in the battlefield, right? And this guy is arguing for America up-arming as a counter to that possibility. And Jimmy seems to think this is like some very incredible, very stupid idea, but um, I think I align with the guy in this way of thinking. Like we don't really know what would happen, what kind of a reaction. There is no real precedent for a nation deploying nuclear weapons as tactical weapons on the battlefield and breaking the nuclear taboo in that way. We know what would happen with the strategic strikes, so that's already basically pretty well defined and outlined. But what do we do if this happens and the guys arguing that America needs to, or all of the West needs to be able and ready to respond, at least in equal measure, to discourage further escalation. So there might be a grain of truth. I mean, it's certainly something to think about.
I'll double check this, but I'm pretty sure that this is not necessary. This kind of this kind of maneuvering wouldn't be necessary because the U.S. already has the nuclear subs position all around, and they would be enough to do the job. I think most of the launch sites that they the biggest problem with the preemptive strike would be that would be the mobile platforms like the subs, right? You can't really do a lot with them. So he's suggesting to start hunting them, and that makes sense. But the actual silos with the ICBMs, they're pretty well protected. So you'd have to strike them with something more than the tactical nukes to actually hit them. You would actually have to use the strategic nukes for them to be able to
like I
hit them
said,
hard enough.
again, we need to read the article on our own and figure
I
it
just
out.
skimmed over it. I don't think Jimmy butchered it too much. Although there is more emphasis on the politics of the political impact of the nukes than that Jimmy just skipped over that. But other than that, he didn't really butcher it too much. So. Okay, well, this was pretty boring, but hopefully more interesting things are coming soon. So take care, Vladan. Thank you for streaming with me, and come back again. Maybe make coffee in advance next time.
I'll do my best.
Take care, man. Bye.
Cheers.